What's up, guys? This is Coach Vassar. We're going over the Orange Theory Audio Daily Beats for Tuesday, September 3rd, which will also repeat Friday, September 20th. This is a ESP 3030 workout. Keep in mind, if you downloaded the Fitbook when it first released, there was a misprint in it, and it had the incorrect workout on this day. They did update it recently, so make sure you download the most recent version of your Fitbook. Otherwise, this video will not make sense as I'm talking about something completely different than what you're looking at. We'll go over the basics of the workout, and then a little deep dive on the treads, rower weight floor, and then also go over any key differences in the 3G. So key concepts for today for this ESP treads, we're gonna see 3 blocks. Block 1, focus on maintaining your push. Block 2, keep your base steady. And in block 3, challenge yourself to increase your all out. For the rower, it's all about building endurance on the row in a circuit between high rep front squats and a push row. Can you find the orange zone? And then the floor, we're gonna see 2 floor blocks. In block 1, focus on building strength with heavy weights. And then in block 2, finish strong by adding power. Setup, we're gonna look at benches and dumbbells for the floor side. So as far as overview to kind of give information for members, for the treads, you got 3 blocks today. In block 1, you'll alternate between push and base. In block 2, we'll switch it up with incline work, maintaining your speed until the final all out. Finally, block 3 is all about power. 4 45-second all outs with increase in recovery time, so challenge yourself to maintain or even ramp up the intensity with each effort. For the floor and rower, we're gonna see 3 blocks as well: endurance, strength, and power. We'll start by the rower with a high rep squat paired with a push row for endurance, and then we'll move to the floor for a strength circuit, lift heavy weights on one side of the body at a time. Finally, we'll wrap up with a power circuit, keeping the reps low and intensity high to help build explosive strength. So as we look at the tread side, 3 blocks, 6 minutes, 45 seconds each, followed by a 90-second walk recovery. We're gonna be seeing a total of 90-second pushes, 45 bases twice, and then the third round is gonna be a 90-second push right into a 45-second all out. The goal for this block, of course, is to maintain their push intensity. Daily Beat highlights for the coaches' notes that because base is half the time of the push, they may need to lower their base in favor of their push. One of the reasons is once heart rates rise in the push, they'll likely stay elevated for the rest of the block because of the shorter base. So it's not enough time to allow the heart rate to drop back down towards that green zone. This is why giving members permission to lower base intensity as needed is important for today's workout. Power walkers, they'll start at least 6% on their incline or greater. Joggers and runners with that 90-second push, aiming for a conservative pace to be able to maintain. I would set them right about 1 to maybe 1.3, 1.4 over their base. And as mentioned, 2 rounds with active recovery, and then the third round, they'll go from that push right into a 45-second all out, and then they'll get 90 seconds to walk it out and get back to base when they're ready. If they bike or stride, same idea. They'll do about 3, maybe 4 gears over base, keeping RPMs over 60. Definitely generating more watts to help get their heart rate elevated. If you see them get out of the saddle, that might be a little too aggressive. So have that conversation with those members off mic. When we move into the second block, this one's gonna be about strength. Time domains are exactly the same. The efforts should feel the same as block 1, but the goal here is to maintain base speed as we do a decrease in roll and hill sequence. So we'll see 3 hills. First one is going to be 7% or greater for power walkers, joggers, and runners. They're going to be at a 5% incline. And then after that, they will go 1% less. Of course, they have the flat road base in between for 45 seconds. Because time domains are the same, that first hill climb should feel very similar to their first push in block 1. And then due to fatigue, the second base climb, even though it is shorter, should be relatively the same in terms of effort. They'll finish with a 45-second all out after their last hill, so there's no recovery between that. So a secondary goal is, can they maintain their all out and build off of that for the next block. 90 seconds to recover before they go to block 3. Bikes and striders, recommendation here is to alternate between your 90-second push gear and your 45-second base gear during this block. And then of course, for the all out, take it up 6 gears or more over base. Third and final block is power. Goal slightly changes here. We are looking to maintain or increase the all out intensity. They'll see 4 all outs, 45 seconds each. Walk recoveries do increase. So they'll start at a minute, eventually 75, and then 90 seconds. Whenever we have these repeat all outs, and we've done a duration like this in the past in the workout, I like to reference that. So give members a heads up of like, hey, your best all out so far, let's start with that. Can we build off of it as your walk recoveries get longer? So first one, 45 seconds, and then 1 minute walk recovery. With these longer walk recoveries, heart rate should definitely start to trend downward as they hit like that orange by the end of the all outs. During the walks, look for green or even blue. Great opportunity to educate members with OT beat response where it should be peaks and valleys. In blocks 1 and 2, it's more of a ebb and flow between the orange and the green. So with the endurance and that strength being very similar, heart rate response should be very similar. So nice ups and downs, ebbs and flows. And then the third block should be drastic changes. So high orange down to high green or even low green, maybe even blue. And then that's this pretty simple there for the treadmills. So as we look at the weight floor side, after the warm up, they'll actually start with a row block for the first one, 6 minutes and 45 seconds. And then the next 2 blocks will be exclusively at the floor for also 6 minutes and 45 seconds. So as we look at the first row block, they'll be completing a neutral grip front squat for a total of 12 to 16 reps. For the setup on this, definitely have members go over to the weight floor as you demo so they can grab weights and bring it back. 12 to 16 squats for most people should take about 30 to 45 seconds with good tempo. And then after that, they'll go into a 300 meter push row. Should be able to complete that in around 50 seconds to about 1:15. Knowing that kind of time domain, we should see anywhere for about 3 rounds or so. And as you know, called out in the key concepts, they should hopefully find an elevated heart rate during the squat and then dip into that orange during the rows themselves. When we move into the next 2 blocks, technically floor block 1 and floor block 2, block 1, we're going to see a circuit of unilateral work. It's just 2 movements, but they're going to perform the first exercise on the left, then on the right, and then move to the next exercise on the left and then on the right. We are alternating between upper body and lower body. So even though this is a strength block where we're gonna try to lift heavy, slight component of endurance because there's no prescribed rest. Of course, with a circuit, have members rest when they need to, whether that's after every exercise or after the pair, or once they've completed one side, rest before they do the next one. So we're gonna see a split stance, single arm high row with the hand on the bench. And then second movement is going to be a single arm neutral grip step down. So they'll have that dumbbell loaded on the shoulder on one side. That's the side that's gonna step down off the bench and they'll drive back up. As far as demonstration, they recommend full demos for both, especially since there's only 2 movements. For the options, they recommend bench ipsilateral high row. So you're gonna have your hand and your knee on the bench for a little more stability. And then for the step down toe tap, body weight instead of a dumbbell. This does have a lower rep range than the previous block, so definitely go heavy. With the unilateral exercises, we're help build and balance strength by making each side of your body work independently. So it improves muscle coordination and prevents imbalances. For the high row with the hand on the bench, members could safely use a heavier dumbbell compared to the hinge position because of stronger base of support. Encourage your members to challenge themselves and go heavy. When we move into the second floor block, this one's gonna be about power. They'll have that rep range anywhere from 4 to 8 reps for the first 2 movements, and then the dead bug press, 8 reps total. They'll do that as a circuit, and then they'll eventually combine the first 2 movements for their finisher. So as far as setup, they recommend a full setup demo for the clean and the neutral grip push press. And then for the dead bug press, it is body weight, so you don't really need to grab any equipment for that. Options, they're gonna say squat to bicep curl for the clean, and then for the neutral grip push press, you could do a sumo squat to upright row with power. For the dead bug, if people cannot lay on their back, then flip over and do bird dogs. Do a regular contralateral bird dog for that one. Try not to do ipsilateral, so left hand, right foot, as opposed to same side. And then for the finisher, the clean to neutral grip push press, option is to separate them, so do the clean or do the push press itself. So in the daily beat, they mentioned that the power is the ability to generate maximum force quickly, combining strength and speed to produce explosive movements. The rep range is the lowest for power exercises because they focus on quick, explosive movements. Use the third exercise to catch your breath as needed before repeating the circuit. If members are able to get to 8 reps, no problem. Pay attention to their tempo. Are they truly being explosive? If not, did you see them start to slow down around reps 5, 6? If that's the case, maybe they should stop at that point rather than lose that power for reps 7 and 8. If they could be powerful for all 8 reps, then they should probably go up heavier, see if they could maintain that power with a heavier weight for only 6 or 7 reps. One thing that I like to do with the dead bug press to help members understand the difference between the regular dead bug is I'll actually grab the kneel pad and I'll place it on and I'll demonstrate this, I'll place it on my thighs and use my hands to hold that pad on my leg and then do the movement. The mat should stay there. If you do the regular dead bug, the mat's gonna slip out and it's gonna fall since you're gonna lose that connection between the same hand and same thigh being connected. I found that really helpful for people who have a hard time seeing the VVA, especially when there's a bunch of exercises on there and the movements look very small. So by using the mat, I've noticed a lot more people are able to do that movement successfully and actually feel it because now they're putting that isometric tension in that midline from trying to press their palm into their thigh and then brace their midline as they do that. As far as this block here, they'll probably get about 2 or 3 rounds. You're probably looking at about 90 seconds to 2 minutes for one circuit. And then they'll finish up with the clean to neutral push press for the last 45 seconds time with that final all out. When we look at the 3G version of this one, we're gonna see same idea of ESP. The treads and the rowers are gonna have 3 separate blocks. Each block, the first 2 blocks are gonna be 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And then the final block will be 3 minutes. They'll have a 75-second walk recovery slash setup time between every block. And then on the weight floor, it's gonna be one long 14.5-minute block where they are going to actually do all the movements from the 2G, but things are gonna be paired up a little bit differently. So as we look at the 3G side for the treads, endurance, they're gonna do push base, push all out. And then in the second one, it's gonna be a strength, and it's gonna be the same idea of rolling hills. So uphill base climb, flat road, uphill base climb, and then an all out. The time domains for this is very similar to the 2G, so 90 seconds, 45 seconds, 90 seconds, 45 seconds. The third round, that's where things change. It's gonna be the same amount of walk recovery between each of the all-outs, and there's only 3 of them. These all-outs are also gonna be shorter than the ones that we saw earlier, so we're gonna see a 30-second all-out, 45-second walk recovery for 3 sets, and the goal changes as well. So maintain all-out, as opposed to in the 2G where we were looking to increase, and since they saw the increased walk recoveries. Looking at the rower, we're gonna see 3 blocks as well. Blocks 1 and 2 are gonna be self-paced, circuit style. 200 meters is the magic number for the block 1. It's a 200-meter push row, followed by crisscross jacks. For that 200-meter push row, stroke rate probably settled in right around somewhere between 24 to 28. Leg drive, a nice solid 6 or 7 out of 10. Should be able to accomplish that, about 50 seconds or less. As soon as they're done, pop up, hit those crisscross jacks, and then right back, and then do it again. They should be able to get about 2-3 rounds in that time frame. Second block, definitely less time to be able to do things because you will be doing more in the block, even though it's only 2 things. We're gonna see a 200 meter push row, but now strength focus. So 22 to 24 strokes per minute. 1 count back, 2, 3 counts going forward. Because of that slower tempo, it may take a few seconds longer, but their average watts should be actually higher than what they saw from their push row. And then they're gonna be doing a pulse in split squat, 10 reps per leg. Definitely gonna burn out the legs here, burn out the quads, the glutes, hamstrings, making your next row a little bit more challenging. At least 2 rounds, but because of the 20 reps of that pulse in squat, it's gonna eat up a lot of time. Third round is gonna be timed with the treads. So 30-second all-out row, 45-second recovery row. If they wanna use a stored program, they could do a 3-minute countdown, but they're gonna be timed with the treads. Goal is to maintain all-out intensity, whether that is their wattage or their split time. I personally am a fan of split time, since it doesn't jump as drastically as watts. It might only change by a few seconds as opposed to 30 to 50 watts. When we look at the weight floor, as mentioned, one big circuit, there's gonna be one big block, 3 different parts. So the first circuit for endurance is gonna be just 2 rounds of the neutral grip front squat that we saw on the row block 1 and the 2G, paired up with the alternating dead bug press, 12 to 16 reps for both of those exercises. They're gonna do 2 rounds there. And they move into the strength circuit. They'll see the same 2 strength movements here, so 6 to 10 reps each side of the single arm high row with the hands on the bench, and then the single arm neutral grip step down on each side. And then finally for the power, they'll see 2 rounds clean, and then the push press. Once they've completed 2 rounds of that, they'll do all 6 movements as one big block until the finisher. This finisher is the same, but just for 30 seconds. So clean to neutral grip push press. With this being a good split of ESP, highlighting the importance of being able to train all the modalities throughout the workout is going to be very helpful to help educate members. So as mentioned, between blocks 1 and 2, heart rate response are going to be very similar on the treads. Third block, that's where we're going to see bigger changes, bigger swings, peaks and valleys there. When it comes to the endurance rowing in the 2G, very similar to endurance block on the tread side. So elevated heart rate, might up and down between green and orange. When they go into the strength side, they'll probably see pretty consistent high blue, maybe low green. If they go heavy enough, maybe high green. And then finally for the power stuff, if they are being explosive, they may hit the orange and get a couple splats in that last sequence there. So just definitely be aware of that. It's a great workout for y'all. Once again, if you have not downloaded the most up-to-date Fitbook, do that. If your workout mentions anything about power walking for the strength, then that's the misprint. Update your stuff. And that, have a good one. Any feedback, let me know, and I'll catch y'all next time.